Hi, I'm Feroz Khan, and welcome to Drag and Drop Low Code Unplugged, the podcast where we explore the game changing impact of low code in software development. Join me in insightful conversations with IT leaders and passionate low code enthusiasts who are at the forefront of this digital evolution. Together, we'll explore how early adoption of low code is giving businesses a competitive edge on a global scale. We'll discuss its impact on software development, dissect its role in transforming businesses, and uncover the ways in which it's reshaping career trajectories. So whether you're a seasoned IT professional or a curious enthusiast, be sure to tune in as we share success stories and unravel the mysteries of low code. Subscribe now and stay tuned for a front row seat to the revolution that's shaping the future of technology. So let's go. Miguel, how are you?
Hey, Feroz. I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for agreeing to be a guest on our podcast.
No, absolutely. I've been watching from afar and feeling a little bit jealous. So I'm very, very happy to be here today and talk to you a little bit about low code and all this great stuff that you've been putting out.
Yeah, I'm honored to have you as a guest, and I think I've been meaning to invite you, but I thought it needs to be the right timing. So I felt now's the right time,
Yeah,
to get you on,
absolutely.
and
Now is
definitely kind
definitely
of
the right time. Yes. I
yeah,
mean, Q1 has been a whirlwind of activities, trying to set up everything up that we want to release this year. And we just released a bunch of stuff. So I think this is a great time for us
the
to
timing, yeah,
talk a little bit about low code and OutSystems and all of that.
great. So I think most people in the OutSystems community know who you are, but it'd be good for a little introduction. I think you're the guy on the stage all the time, when there's these events as well. So I think most people know who you are, but for those who are not in the community or may not know a little bit about you, it'd be good for a little introduction.
Absolutely. I mean, so I've been in OutSystems for over 20 years. I had my 20th anniversary last year, and I've done a little bit of everything. So I'm originally a computer science major from last century, so I don't want to date myself, but I've had a couple of jobs, but ever since 2003, I've been working without systems. From being I was actually director of marketing once, and I took care of the website.
Wow.
That was one of my first roles. But since then, I've worked in professional services. I've worked in pre-sales. I ran support for a while recently, and since about almost 3 years now, I've been running the developer relations team, so the community team.
Yeah. And when you joined OutSystems, obviously it was something new, low code. It wasn't even called low code back then.
No, it wasn't.
So
It
what,
wasn't called local.
yeah. So what was your kind of, what was your thought process of joining this company?
Well, I mean, OutSystems was founded by Paulo Rosado, as you know, and
Yeah.
I've actually Paulo Rosado gave me my first job in 1998 in his other startup that he
Yeah.
had, and so I've been in very close to him for a while, and when he came to me and they said, "Hey, we're gonna change the world of application development." Back then, it was mobile application
Yeah.
development with all the 3G coming out. And we're going to make it so that it's very simple to create applications. And I was like, well, people have been coding this way for a long time now.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
are we changing? And then he showed me, what was the skeleton of the IDE, what was the integration capabilities. Back then it was really important to
Mm,
be able to integrate, and it really convinced me that it was possible to make a platform where you can visually create applications faster, deliver them faster, but not lose all the flexibility and all the um, the control that you get once you're
mm,
actually in code and you're able to do the things. So the philosophy of the platform ever since the beginning has been visually develop, the 80%, 85% that is easy and it's always the same thing, right? And then be able to control and have the nitty gritty details, if you need to
Mm.
go into the JavaScript, if you need to go into the C sharp, if you need to go into the SQL, and leave those windows always open so that whenever someone needs to have a little bit more control, they can still have it inside of the platform. But you don't lose the capability of doing the one-click publish. You don't lose
Yeah.
the capability of doing the one-click staging and all of that. So that has always been the balance at OutSystems. And it's ever since the beginning, that was very much in the philosophy of what Paulo wanted the product to do and what Paulo wanted OutSystems to be with everybody else, of course. And we've stuck to it ever since, and it has paid off significantly because right now, the people that work with OutSystems, they feel like they don't lose the control, even though
Mm.
they're visually building the large majority of their applications. They can still walk through those windows and doors that are left open and go and do and create that code. And I think that was what attracted me to OutSystems was this is not yet another way of visually developing simple applications. This is a way of changing the way you build applications so that the things you can do faster, you do faster. The things you need control of, you can do in code.
Mhm. And you've pretty much summed up what the goal and mission is of OutSystems. In regards to, you've been there 20 plus years now. In that time, what are some, can you talk us through the platform's evolved so much?
Mm-hmm.
You've obviously been on the other side of the world. You've come back, can you talk us through some, some wins, some milestones, some challenges that, from early on to from now, across your 20 years that you've experienced?
Well, it's been a great journey, with its all ups and downs.
Yeah.
But ever since the beginning, as we started back then with mobile applications, and back then it was something called WAP, which was
Mm.
um, a language that you could build for the Nokias, the ones that slide like the ones in the Matrix. You
Yeah,
could build
yeah,
little
yeah, yeah,
applications for it and SMS. And web was actually an afterthought. It was just to build the back offices and
yeah.
all of that. And then as it evolved and the telco crisis came and we started to need to move into the enterprise, web became more and more prominent. So much so that when I actually moved to the US in 2006, and I was kind of the first guy on the ground there, trying to sell this product in Silicon Valley because we were in San Francisco, in the Bay Area. It was very interesting to see all the nuances that people already had and the new technology coming. And I think that really helped the product. So, for example, one of our first customers there, we built our first B2C website that had millions of interactions. It was a search website, a little bit like what Kayak does today.
Yeah.
Um, so it had millions of interactions, and we had to build in low code an engine and an application that could handle millions of that kind of volume, right? And it was because of that that the product jumped such an amount in which we started to use Ajax back then when they started to use asynchronous events, which now are completely pervasive throughout the product. But
Yeah.
back then, that was not the way things were done. So I think, this high tech US customers that we got in the beginning of my stay in the US really pushed the product forward, and we were able
Mm.
to really develop a completely different way of building applications. And then a little bit later, as the cloud started being a thing,
Mm.
right? Paulo tells this story often because OutSystems, the reason why OutSystems is named OutSystems is because the applications that we build ran out there, right? You click the one
Yeah.
click publish and they go somewhere. You don't
Yeah.
know where. It was
Yeah.
the data center, it could be outside of the data center. Um, and the he usually jokes and he says that if the company was born maybe 7, 8 years later, it would be called Cloud Systems and not Out
Okay.
Systems,
Yeah.
right? Because out was meant out there somewhere where
Yeah.
you did not
Yeah.
know where application is running. So as cloud came along, the product was basically born and raised and adult, but always with that cloud mentality. So it was very natural for us to start using AWS services and other cloud services to actually put the
Mhm.
product running in the cloud, and that really made it very, very big leap forward in terms of the product, because all of a sudden you really could just have the IDE in your computer, click a button, and all of a sudden you have this
Yeah.
application running in the cloud, and you didn't have to worry about any of the complexity that was there. In terms of breakthroughs, I think the next big breakthrough was mobile. So as the iPhone
Yeah.
became a thing and
Yeah.
smartphones came up in 2007 and moving
Yeah.
forward, the ability to create these mobile applications and the ability um, to all of a sudden with the same one click have this mobile application that ran and felt like a native application on your phone. Uh, it was a game changer with local databases, with synchronization, offline capabilities, all of those things. They enabled the enterprise customers that we served to build things like the kids were building in the garages with the
Yeah.
games, and
Yeah.
to basically bring that capability into their field services, their capability into the applications that they developed internally. I remember one of the customers we had in Mexico, actually, very large distribution customer, actually the largest package delivery customer in Mexico. And we ended up going and testing with the people that were delivering out the packages in the vans with a little mobile device, and tested it as they
Yeah.
delivered it. Oh, we're in an area without network. Will it work? Will it synchronize back? Then there was people back in the office looking at stuff. So all those that troubleshooting that we had to go through in order to get the platform to be able to develop these really robust
Mm.
mobile applications that could work offline. That was a really big step
Yeah.
in getting things going.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. And when you moved over to the US, how was the kind of reaction as did you get in like, who are these Portuguese guys over here, selling us this platform? What was the kind of, did you get a lot of pushback? Because obviously there's traditional is it's like you said, that's the way everybody knows of doing it. And you're
Mm.
coming in presenting something really different out of the box, and you've come from Europe, and you're presenting this option to them. What was the kind of feedback and response?
Well, interestingly enough, I mean, the US, we also have had a local team, and now we have a big
Yeah.
presence. But interestingly enough, especially in the Bay Area, people just wanted to understand what it was. It was not
Mm.
so much, oh, this Portuguese guy selling me
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah.
It was more of this looks interesting, but it's such a big disruption for the way we
Mm.
build stuff that I'm not really sure if this is going to help us. Only when we were able to close some really, really important references that we have in the US, like Safeway and a couple of others, did people started believing and say, okay, now I understand that this is something important. So it was not so much that we were um, not headquartered, at
Yeah.
least back then in the US. It was more of I don't understand what this is. Gartner is not
Mm.
talking about this.
Yeah,
Why should
yeah,
I go there? So
yeah.
the job was kind of to evangelize, get those first references.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden, Gartner and Forrester, it was actually Forrester first. I
Okay.
remember talking multiple times with John Reimer, which was one of the big analysts from
Mm.
Forrester, and him and Paulo kind of got together once, and they invented the term low code. So they actually coined
Okay. Yeah.
low code between the two of them, and all of a sudden things start making sense. Other vendors that were kind of lost in
Mm.
the crowd kind of started flocking to the low code space, and all of a sudden it was much easier to do an elevator pitch of what it is. Right, this is a
Yeah.
way for you to quickly build your applications with less complexity visually, so that they're easier to maintain, they're easier to deploy. And the mission, you asked about the mission of OutSystems
Yes.
earlier. So the mission is officially to make every company a software company. That's the mission of OutSystems. That's what we say internally. And so we need to make IT and application development accessible to companies that are not able to recruit top engineers from
Mm.
university, right? If you sell bananas, or you put asphalt on roads, or you ship goods internationally, it's not a flary area where developers want to go and work, right? They want to work in gaming, they want to work in
Yeah.
AI, they want to work in
Yeah.
all the other fields. So it's a little bit like democratizing the use of the or the capability of building applications to every company. And by doing that and by simplifying and speeding up, we are actually able to give them a competitive advantage over their competitors in their space. They're able to implement this digital transformation faster. And as we bring more and more capabilities into the platform, like, for example, ODC is bringing
Yeah.
cloud native, like we're now bringing a lot of AI. We just released the AI agent builder, but
Yeah.
we've had AI in the product for a very
Mm.
long time. And so all of these things, whenever they come into the platform, they become democratized, meaning you can
Yeah.
now use it effectively to build applications without requiring, 500 cloud engineers and 200
Yeah.
AI specialists and 550 database
Yeah.
people, right? So you can build these applications, you can use the power, and you're able to do it in a much faster, cheaper, and disruptive way towards your business and the things that you can do.
And I guess it's like you said, you needed those reference points when you started. I think it's not just software, it's like any brand in general. If like clothing brand, if you see someone wearing it who's famous, then other people want to buy it. So I guess, when you're delivering these projects, if you can have a few well-known reference points, then at least other customers will consider and be open to listen to what you're
Absolutely. You need
offering.
that crossing the chasm
Yeah,
capability,
yeah,
right? You
yeah,
need to
yeah,
find those early adopters that are willing
yeah,
to kind of go blindly into the
yeah, yeah,
night and
yeah,
able to weather those first rough spots. But the truth is that as the product matured, as we got analyst coverage, as we
mm,
got good references, the business in the US boomed. And when I left in 2015, we had a very, very healthy customer base. We had some really reference projects, and then most importantly, we had really happy customers, and
yeah.
that's always been the motto and the mantra of Paulo is we need happy customers because those are the ones that are going to make it easier for us to move
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah. And when you're, I think, we've been working with OutSystems since 2018 and we've seen significant growth, right? Even just from the brand names that we see that are using OutSystems, it's definitely big names are starting to adopt low code and OutSystems. When you're
Mm-hmm.
speaking to these customers, what are you telling them are the advantages of choosing low code over traditional for their development projects?
Well, I mean, this, as I said, has to do with the, the base of it is speed, right? So
Mm, yeah,
we are able to build these applications much faster. We were able to prototype them much faster. We were able to show them to the business much faster, which basically means that you don't need to go back to that big waterfall, large
yeah,
requirements kind of stuff. You're able to get a kind of a rough idea of what they want, implement it, and show it to them. And instead of giving them a blank canvas, they say, "Tell me what you want." You're actually able um, to show them something working. It's a lot easier for someone that sees what is going on and say, "Oh no, that is wrong. We need to change that. That's not the way
mm,
we do it. Oh, that's completely inefficient." But all of a sudden, you're already iterating and improving over something as kind of, oh, let's think about what we need, start from scratch. And the
mm,
truth is that that way of building applications adapts really well to the enterprise world, right? So the speed is the base. Also, the speed is also the base of a lot of the problems that you have with low code. So I
yeah,
want to be very clear. This is
yeah,
not
yeah,
like
yeah,
a miracle pill, right?
yeah,
Because when you do traditional development, the bottleneck is always the development, right? So you can, run around, do your thing, da da da, and wait for the developers. Then you look at something, and then you have to wait a bunch of time for something else to come back. Here, things are iterating much faster. You can get 1 week sprints, 2 week sprints, things coming out. And so the part that becomes harder in managing a low code project, it's not the development itself, it's the management of the project
yeah,
itself. It's getting the business to be always available. It would happen in some of our projects that, you know, the business would say, hey, but I have a day job. I cannot constantly be in meetings with you telling you
Yeah.
what you need to do next, because you guys come back very fast with all of this. So managing a low code project is definitely a skill that is underrated, and that is a lot harder than the actual coding itself, because people are used to being coding being the bottleneck.
Yeah.
But then, of course, the then once you actually start building these applications and deploying them, the deployment is also incredibly fast, right? So you don't need, once you set up the first infrastructure, or once you get your cloud environment going, you just click a button and your app is there, and then you click another button and your app is in quality or in production. And so the speed in which you're able to iterate is incredible. It's just amazing. And that really allows the business to fine tune those little things. I'll tell you a story that I often
Yeah.
tell with someone that worked with me actually here in Portugal. It was this amazing lady. And she was building a kind of an SAP requisition management system with me. Um, and uh, and she was almost close to retirement, but she understood everything. It was awesome to talk to her because she always knew all the little intricacies of the
Yeah.
process. We were building it all. But one day she turned to me and she said, Miguel, there's a problem with the requisition page. You don't have a place for the director to sign and approve it. And I was like, but people are not going to sign this. This is going to, no, but I'm sorry. The requisitions always need to have a signature line. They need to have something there. And instead of spending like 3 hours working with her, I just went into the thing. I put a line, I put director underneath, I wrote it down there. I sent the page to production, and then said, okay, you can go test it. It already has the signature line. And then she went and she tested the whole thing. And then she got to the end. She realized, wait a second. I really don't need a signature. So she came back very sheepishly and said, oh, I just realized. I'm sorry, Miguel. You can take it out because
Yeah.
now, right? So these are the kinds of things that when you're disrupting processes and where you're trying to digitize a process that have been running in companies for tens of years, if you're able to do these things instead of actually presenting them with options or showing them what it looks like as they imagined, they will come to the conclusion that it's a lot easier now to digitize and you can change things. And it's okay to change things. So this iteration is incredibly powerful in terms of implementing digital transformation. And I think even now with AI, as we kind of try to understand what are the use cases,
Yeah.
this is going to be even more important because now not even us IT understands really what AI is going
Yeah.
to be able
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
do, much less the business users, right? So these iteration is going to be it's going to be very, very important. And I think the last big thing, and there's a lot of things, of course, but the last big thing is what we call the non-functional requirement, right? You're building an application. You can build an application in 5 minutes, deploy it with one click, it's running. But because it's built on the OutSystems platform, it's already automatically scalable. It's already secure by default, right? It's already compliant with SOC 2 and other big and important compliance
Yeah.
norms out there. It's already logging everything that you need. So the fact that you don't have to worry about having all those non-functional requirements for any application that you build, it could be a very small application, it could be a huge application. It makes it really, really easy for chief information security officers to trust the platform. It makes it really easy for people that are doing application support to again go and see the logs and understand what is going on. And it doesn't matter how big the app is, it doesn't matter anything. Those NFRs are there by default. And that is really, really amazingly powerful inside of the platform.
Yeah, yeah. And what I've found is from speaking to so many people on these podcasts is they talk about speed, like you said. They'll talk about if there's something that needs to be changed compared to traditional, like you said, it can be something you can do it quite quickly. And the other thing that a lot of people have spoken about when it comes to end customers is team size. They don't need as many developers to for these projects. They can do it with, such a smaller team and get quite a
Mm-hmm.
big kind of outcome from a smaller team and not needing loads of developers in one team to develop the project.
Yes, that is also a very interesting phenomenon. The same way that we remove the bottleneck of the
Mm,
development and everything else starts breaking,
yeah.
right? The fact that the teams are so much smaller and you're able to get a lot more value out of one developer, it really changes the economy of the game, right?
Mm,
So developers become more valuable, but at the same time, there's this notion of, oh, it's low code, so we don't need to pay them as much, right? So
yes.
which is
Yeah.
completely,
Yeah.
you know, false. These guys are producing a lot more value for the same pay,
Yeah.
or even, in my opinion, as VP of developers, I think you should pay them more because they're
Yeah.
producing so much more value,
Yeah.
right? And I tell you one thing, a low code developer, yes, we can reskill people that don't know how to code and put them
Mm,
coding in low code. We can do citizen development and use low code for it. But a great high code Java, C sharp trained developer
mm,
using the platform is like a magician. I've seen people do our MVPs. They can do amazing stuff with the platform, and they can do it much faster than anybody else. So it's definitely worth getting the good developers and getting them to adopt low code because we are going to be able to produce so much more. One last thing about team
mm.
size, which is interesting, is um, this is one of the reasons why it's kind of hard, for people like you, right? You'd
Yeah.
prefer to kind of source 20
50
people
developers.
into a
Yeah. Yeah.
customer,
Definitely.
right? It would be
Yeah.
then source three or four,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
So the whole economy, the same way the whole project is based around the fact that development is also the bottleneck, the whole development economy is also based around the fact that teams are 10, 15
Yeah.
people, right? So some partners struggle with this because they're like, but I used to be able to sell 15 people
Yeah. Yeah.
for 6 months to do a project. And now I'm selling a team of three.
Yeah.
It's like, and people say that our hourly rate is expensive. It's like, no, just make the account, just take
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
cost divided by the number
Yeah.
of hours, and you will see that it's actually much, much cheaper. And then it has all the benefits of, you know, 15 people producing code are going to produce 15 times uh, larger code that then you have to maintain, then you have to evolve,
Mm.
then becomes legacy code. Then no one understands what is in there. It's the same problem as AI, right? AI is
Yeah.
producing code. Yay, hooray, you don't have to produce
Yeah.
code. But what are you going to do with those thousands and thousands of lines of
Yeah.
code that no one will be able to understand?
Understand. Yeah.
Well, we call it orphan code, right?
Yeah.
So having smaller teams actually is going to allow you to have apps that are much easily evolved, that you can change much quicker, that have less bugs because the more lines of code, the
Yeah.
more bugs
Yeah.
you
Of
have.
course. Yeah.
It's just the law of development. So this disruption of the size of the teams is also something very important. So thank you. I'm glad that you brought it up, and I
Well,
hadn't I hadn't thought
one
of it.
yeah, one thing we kind of, as a recruitment staffing company, we've done traditional development roles and we've done low code roles. And even just talking to the talent, you see, like you were talking about the salary and they want to pay them less, which is a thing that does happen in some countries. We find when you're speaking to a low code developer because they're not just your old school traditional guy who just sits in the corner and codes and doesn't really have much of a personality and doesn't get involved. Where when we speak to these low code developers, you can just tell they, even just speaking to them, they really enjoy what they do because they're involved in so many aspects of the business outside of just the IT side. They're involved in decisions. They can, and also even just the career path of how they can grow from, like you said, like a good .NET person, C sharp, Java person who comes in with good experience, they can really grow in their low code career quite
Absolutely.
fast.
2, 3 years, they will be
Yeah.
team leads, they will be architects. And this is just amazing because what you see is that, as you said, a lot of these developers quickly become involved with the business because,
Yeah.
again, speed, right? I can
Mm,
have my work done, and now I need business decisions. The business
yeah.
is not able to give them that fast, so I'm going to make business decisions. And what do
Yeah.
I need to know to do business decisions? I need to understand the business. So all of a
Mm,
sudden, these local developers stop just being, I don't want to use the expression, but I'm going to use it anyway. Code monkeys in the
yeah.
basement just
Yeah.
typing
Yeah.
away,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They need to get out of their chairs and look around and go
Yeah.
talk to the lady that
Yeah.
says, hey,
Yeah.
how do I do this? What happens in
Yeah.
this process? I don't know how to validate it this way. and they are able to say, oh yeah, it happens this way, it happens that way. And all of a sudden, you are able to make decisions, and it happens very often in OutSystems projects that we go to the demos and we say, hey, we were thinking about this, and based on what you told us that you wanted this or that, we made the decision of actually doing it this way and doing it that way and
Mm.
doing it that way. And 9 times out of 10, those decisions are correct. These developers
Yeah.
make the right business decisions, not code
Mm.
decisions. And then there's one in which they say, oh, no, you did not know, but we have this other thing. Oh, okay. So I very quickly change it because I now understand how it impacts. So, and that really not just speeds up the way these digitization processes work, but it makes life better for developers because they're not just always being blamed
Yeah.
for being late.
Yeah.
They are the ones kind of leading the charge and making these decisions and evolving. And that's why with 2, 3, 4 years of experience, an OutSystems developer tends to be a team lead. They
Mm.
immediately go to architects. Sometimes they even evolve to kind of engagement managers
Yeah.
because they like the business so much
Yeah.
that they kind of, and they understand the technology, so they know what the technology can do for the business, so they go for there. So yeah, this career evolution is definitely something that is a misconception that a lot of the people, when they look at low code, they think, oh my god, my career, I'm an expert in .NET, I'm going to go here,
Mm.
I'm not going to be an expert, and how am I going to evolve? uh, this is the fastest way. OutSystems developers kind of, they speed up their careers 2, 3 times fold. It takes, when I was in India last year, for our one
One
conference,
conference. Yeah.
um, and I was talking to a couple of people there, and they say, oh, it takes 15 to 20 years to become an architect in a
Mm. Yeah.
traditional technology. And I said, but you're an architect. You don't look like you have 50. No, I have 6 years of my career. But because I started with low code and I had
Mm.
this high code background, now I'm able to be an architect and I have both skills. So I'm able to actually understand what needs to be low code, what needs to be high code, how we're going to tackle this specific integration. And it really rounds you up as a professional, not just in terms of technology, but also in terms of business. And then you're able to progress much faster.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of misconceptions, like, low code is really well known. Gartner has all the reports. Our system's always, leading. But still today there is, when you're dealing with customers and companies, how do you deal with the kind of misconceptions of low code? I know you've got the use cases that you can share, but how do you deal with that? When you're speaking to customers, you still have this mind frame of low code just for little things, not
Yes.
enterprise
Yeah,
level.
exactly. There's a whole slew of things. We're actually putting out a series. I've actually shared the first of that
The
series
skeptic one that
in
you have,
LinkedIn. The
the skeptic
skeptics,
one. Yeah, I
developer
saw you share
skeptics.
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. We're going to do a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And because these are things that are, they're fair fears, right? They are like,
Mm.
you are in your code mindset, and all of a sudden comes this platform that is supposedly visual. I've seen this hundreds of times. I can do just little applications with this. The moment I try to push it, it breaks. And those are the ones that are voiced, right? It's like,
Mm.
oh, I cannot control this. I cannot integrate with that. I cannot do this little thing on my page. I cannot write what I want to write. I lose control. Small applications. These are the voiced ones. And
Yeah,
then there are the unvoiced ones. And those are actually the hardest ones to combat,
yeah.
which is, what about my career, right? Am I going to like change my really nice meta model with multi-heritage classes, and I'm going to
Mm.
just drag little balls around and do little
Mm.
charts? That makes no sense, right? How can
Yeah,
that be better for my career? And we've talked about that already.
yeah,
But even the fear of, if I leave here, will I have another job? Right? If
yeah.
if I'm investing in this, is it going to be? Am I going to have another job? And yes, you're going to have another job. You talk to Feroz, you talk to
Yeah,
myself. You'll
exactly.
have
Yeah,
another job.
yeah.
It's fine. But these misconceptions um, are really things that make it hard for people to even try. Which in maybe from my vantage point, I really don't understand, because it doesn't cost you anything to try. Just go to OutSystems, click try for free, try it,
Yeah.
play with it. it's another tool in your belt, right? If you can put on your resume that you're a high code Java developer or .NET developer, and you also know OutSystems, or you have a certification of Mendix, or you have a
Yeah.
certification of Power Apps. It doesn't matter what it
Mm.
is, but it makes you a more round professional. It makes you someone that is able to understand which tool you're going to use for the job, right? If you only
Mm.
have a hammer, everything is nailed,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if you have a hammer, pliers, and a saw, then you're able to do a lot more things because you're
Yeah.
using the right tool for the job. And low code is not a panacea. Low code is not the right platform to implement all the applications in the
Yeah.
world. It's not. There's a lot of things that you need to do with high code that you cannot do with low code. But if you're in an enterprise environment where mostly you want to implement business processes, you want to implement some B2C applications or B2B applications, and you want to digitize existing processes that are either completely old and paper, or they're even like implemented in COBOL or whatever, all those legacy systems, it is definitely the way to be able to do those things in weeks rather than months or years. So you need to know which tool you can have. And the only way you're going to know it is by trying the tool
Yeah.
and understanding what it is good for and what it is not good for.
Yeah.
So to all the high code developers out there and the skeptics, the only thing I say is just try it and understand it. And then decide whenever you have a problem, which tool you're going to use to solve that problem.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, these platforms, OutSystems, the other low-code platforms, you can just download it and play around with it for free. You can
Right.
try it out. And, when we speak to people in kind of traditional development, we always suggest try it out, give it a go. And there's no harm in just getting certified, getting Reactive
Mm-hmm.
certified if you can. And then when you are looking for jobs, it opens you up to a new line of opportunities, right? You're not just applying for Java roles now. You can apply for low code roles, and there are roles that advertise that they just want some basic low code knowledge, and then once you're in there, they'll get you a lot more involved. So I think definitely all these initiatives, like OutSystems do, and with the training and the boot camps, definitely is all there for them. It's just about, like you said, giving it a go and being open minded, and not being
Absolutely.
skeptic about it.
Yeah, and just try it. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to run that series of
Yeah,
skeptics videos with this each one of these objections, so that
yeah,
when people feel those objectives, they can search
yeah,
them and
yeah,
they can
yeah. That's a good
find
idea. Yeah,
and it's not us saying it, by the way. It's our developers and
yeah,
it's the
yeah,
people working out systems, which is really cool. Anyway, so
yeah. Really cool.
I'm
Yeah,
excited about
I saw that. I
that
thought, yeah,
one.
that's a good idea. That's a good one. Definitely, definitely. Talking about, we obviously in our business talk to customers, partners all the time,
Mhm.
and something that's kind of come up a lot in recent months. You know about Paulo's done a post about on the forum is the OutSystems pricing model and
Right.
concerns around that and customers complaining about that. What can you tell us about that and how you're dealing with that?
Well, yeah, I mean, pricing is always a very sensitive topic, right? And it's always hard, right? The cheaper it is, the easier it is
Yeah,
to adopt and to evolve. And believe me, if we could make it cheaper, we would love to get, again, our mission is to get every enterprise to be a software enterprise. So the issue that happened with the pricing is that um, we realized that a lot of the costs that we were getting from getting customers expanding, because our customers love us and they expand and they use our
yeah,
systems as much as they can, because the value that it brings is so high, as we discussed, that it's just it's a non-issue. The problem was because we use cloud and because we have support and because we need to run all these massive infrastructures, the way the pricing was structured was not accompanying the way the costs were growing on what we wanted to do. So we had to make a change to the
mm,
pricing that basically meant that actually a significant amount of our customers, I would say the majority of our customers, their price went down because they were
mm,
not using as much as they had purchased
yeah,
with the old pricing model. But there was a significant number of customers that were using it a lot. And so
Mm.
a lot of them got a little bit of sticker shock. And I understand
Yeah, yeah,
that,
yeah.
right? When they saw, oh, wow, with this new pricing model, because instead of just capping at a certain point, it continued to ramp,
Mm.
right? Now I am going to pay a significant amount more than I was paying. And maybe some of the
Mm.
applications that I build with OutSystems do not provide enough value for me to pay for, right? And that generated a significant amount of friction with some of our customers that we've been handling, and Paulo and Carlos and myself, we've personally followed up with a lot of these customers um, to understand what we can do to help them, to keep them going, to continue to expand. And it really, I mean, it really feels not nice when you think you have something and then all of a sudden someone's
Yeah, of
charging
course.
you more for it.
Yeah,
But it's either that or the company goes
yeah, sure.
into a bad financial situation where we're growing our costs faster than we're growing our revenue, and that will be bad for everybody, right?
Mm.
So it was a very hard decision. It was something that we had to do in order to provide a fair exchange of the value that the
Yeah,
customers were having to the cost that we were having running their platforms. And so we are also revising how we are going to move our pricing in the future, in making sure that customers are involved and that we have additional approvals and all of that is going. So I think that problem is definitely being addressed. If for
yeah,
some reason anybody listening to this is still highly disgruntled about what happened, please feel free to reach out to me directly on LinkedIn. I'm available.
yeah.
I would very happy like to talk to you about it. And we want to make sure you continue to use OutSystems, you continue to get the value out of it, and we want to find a win-win situation that works for
Yeah.
us. So I hope that this is mostly behind us. But if there is people that are still having issues with it, feel free to reach out to me directly, and we'll very, very happily talk to all of you about what is going on.
I guess the good thing is you're addressing it and not just saying, well, this is how it is, and take
No,
it or leave it.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely not, absolutely not. And these things have kind of a mind of their own, right? Once you do a
yeah.
change in pricing, people
Mm.
just apply it, and sometimes they apply it better, sometimes they
Yeah,
apply it worse. But this is something that we are very keenly aware at OutSystems. We've had feedback from our community, we have feedback from our customers, and as I said, one unhappy customer is one too many.
mm.
And if you are unhappy for some reason about the pricing and the things that have happened, please reach out, and we will be very happy to talk to you about it and understand, and make sure we get to a win-win situation for all of us.
That's great. That's great. And another thing that we don't really hear about as much, but I see it more on LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
is the whole discussion about OS 11 to ODC, right?
Right.
That
That's
that
another.
that seems to be the
Wow,
hot
you
topic,
pulled
right?
out all the stops on that one, right?
Well,
Only
I've
hard
got you
questions,
for an
Feroz. I
hour,
like that.
so I need
I
to make the
really
most of
like
the
that
time
one.
with you, right?
Yes,
But
let's talk to
that's
11 to
that's
ODC.
something that everyone's obviously talking about, how's it going to work? Can you kind of, and it's something that's, obviously it's not really art systems people talking about it. It's more kind of the
Mm,
outside world, other low code platforms talking about it. Um, can you tell us a bit about,
absolutely.
what's
I
going on with
mean,
that?
I'm incredibly excited for ODC. ODC is like, it's one of those things that people don't see it yet, but it's going to be probably, of all the things I've talked about, the mobile, the
Yeah.
cloud, the the web transitions, all those things that we've done, this one is the most disruptive of them all, because um, it works on something that is invisible to what people do, right? So right now you use OutSystems 11, you click a button, your app's running. ODC, you use ODC, you click a button, your app's running. Exactly the same thing. There's nothing from the point of view of the people that use it, there's nothing different. But the app that is running is incredibly different,
Mm.
right? One of them is running on an IIS, and I'm going to be a little bit more technical here because I
Yeah,
can.
sure.
Running on an IIS, on ASP.NET with a relational database underneath, and in the machine that can scale, but it's kind of limited to its power. The other one was running fully native on state-of-the-art databases that are basically serverless, that can scale infinitely, using containers that can replicate themselves and basically scale infinitely. So the apps that you build with ODC, Paulo says this often, the apps that you build with ODC should be able to serve up to a seventh of the world population.
Wow.
Right. And this is, again, the same little app that you build in 5 minutes and you put it there. It's another of the NFRs, which is this infinite scalability that ODC brings to you. And because of that, we had to make some really hard decisions. And the hard decision, one of the hardest we had to make, was to break something that had always been the case ever since the beginning, which is you can upgrade seamlessly from one to the other.
Yeah.
Right. And that was really hard for OutSystems. It was a decision that we went back and forth hundreds of times because we felt like it was going to be really hard for our customers. But we also felt that if you don't have the ability to create these infinitely scalable applications, you would not be able to compete in the future. So this is something that we did because we know that in the future, people are going to ask us to scale these applications. And we're going to be in a very tough situation. So because of that, and also because in the inherent architecture of ODC, we are able to evolve ODC in days. You don't see ODC evolving. We don't have major releases. Well, we just had new features like AI Agent Builder and the new service, new event-driven architecture and all of that. But ODC in itself has hundreds of little releases a month, right? And they can all be deployed very fast. So ODC is evolving at a speed that O11 will never be able to catch up, the architecture we had in O11. Now, it doesn't mean that we're not investing in O11. We're still investing in O11. O11's alive and kicking, and we've just moved the date of end of support to 2029, so March 2029. If you have O11 stuff, don't worry, it's going to continue to work. It's perfectly fine. But what we're seeing is that a lot of our customers are now playing with ODC and deciding that some of their crucial, mission-critical, highly scalable applications, they should either move them or actually build them anew in ODC. And that basically means that we are now having, even though it seems like we have two products, it's exactly the same product, right? It takes 4 hours for a developer that is an O11 developer to learn how to develop in ODC. It's very similar, but the engine that runs it underneath is there. I usually make this analogy. I say, like, O11 is like a Ferrari, right?
Yeah.
You have a Ferrari. It's got all the bells and whistles. It can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's great. It's nice. It's shiny. It's red. It's better than everything else out there, right? And then ODC is like a Tesla, right?
Yeah.
It still can accelerate faster than a Ferrari, right? And the powertrain is completely different, has a lot of different things, and it's the future. But you give me something like a Ferrari or a Tesla, I go like, maybe I start with the Ferrari, and I'll hit the Tesla. And,
sure.
and the good thing here is that you can have both, right? Especially because we are working very hard on creating a simple upgrade path from O11 to ODC. And that is going to be coming out later in the year. And it's really going to make it simple so that you can move a significant amount of your applications if you want from O11 to ODC. And ultimately, we know that applications have a life cycle until 2029. I don't know how many applications live today will be still available in 2029. So it's not as if you need to think, I need to migrate all my O11 to ODC. You don't need to. Everything's going to continue to work. Everything is fine. O11 still has some things that ODC doesn't do. ODC has a bunch of things that O11 doesn't do yet. So this is one of those situations in which, even though we had to make that hard decision because it was impossible to keep it compatible to the large underneath. We didn't want to create a hybrid, right?
Yeah,
Stretching a little bit of the analogy of of the cards. We didn't want to have something that has an engine and
Yeah, yeah,
a battery on it.
yeah,
So we have these two really powerful platforms. And if you're on O11, don't worry. If you want to move to ODC by the end of this year, we should be able to move a significant amount of the stuff that you have. And if you want to start building ODC, more power to you, because really that is going to be the future, and that's what you're going to be able to build your amazing applications on.
yeah. And you touched on some of the really amazing features that, we can look forward to. But there's a load of releases last month, that came out from OutSystems. Can you talk about some of the key ones that you think, you really kind of think will make a difference? And also if there's anything that is in the pipeline that you're allowed to share that we can look forward to, that would be good. Give me an
Well, I mean,
exclusive.
as I said, ODC is always getting these little nifty upgrades that change and that evolve the platform. Um, the event-driven architecture, and I know everybody's focusing on the AI and the AI and the
Yeah.
AI. That's fine. AI
Mm.
is big thing, very important.
Yeah.
Um, but I'll talk about AI in a little bit. In
Yeah.
terms of the event-driven architecture, that one is a really powerful thing. It's something that we were not able to do properly in O11. And it's also a big support of what the business process technology is going to be in ODC. And that one's going to have a significant upgrade from what we had in O11, because it's really going to be fully distributed. It's really going to be able to work at massive scales. Uh, we all know that, whenever you started pushing BPT really, really hard, and a lot of customers didn't do that, but we have a couple of customers that have
Mm.
tried to push BPT really, really hard, and they hit a couple of limitations when you go to the millions of processes running side by side, right? The way we're designing things in ODC, it's completely different, right? It's going to take advantage of all the native cloud scalable infrastructure underneath, and is also going to expose those events so that if you want to build your own event-driven architecture, you are able to do that. And this is massive, because it really is going to allow you to create distributed systems in ODC in a way that you would never be able to do in O11. So to me, that one is actually more cool than the
Yeah.
AI.
Yeah.
But I'm a geek at heart, so let's move on to the AI. I mean, for me now, and we're talking about April 2024. AI is still a big question mark. It can do amazing stuff. It has a hard time doing stuff consistently and well. So we're still finding what are the real use cases that you can do with AI. And I'll
Mm.
tell you, one of the ones that we use in the community that has been great is we just released the AI translation to Japanese. So we've never been able to translate our forums.
Mm.
And now, if you go to our forums and your browser is in Japanese, you can click a button and AI will translate the forum post so that you can read it in Japanese. And the quality
Mm.
is just unbelievable,
Mm.
unbelievable. And it also allows our Japanese developers, which is interestingly enough the second largest community of developers in the world for
Wow.
OutSystems. I don't know if you knew that, but it's
No, I didn't
really,
know that.
really an interesting fact.
Yeah.
Allows them to also interact with other people, because they can now
Mm.
write in Japanese, which
Yeah.
is something that we really discouraged. You write in Japanese, and then our moderators, our MVPs, even the community
Yeah.
from anywhere else can click a button, translate it to English, answer in English, translate to Japanese. And this is a use case that is, no brainer for AI.
Yeah.
While before we had tried directly and didn't work. But there's a bunch of other ones that we really don't know, right?
Yeah.
And these chat bots, and this is something that is really interesting. Now, what we just released is AI Agent Builder, which is really a simplified way for you to build your AI bots, and train them and ground them, and really allow yourself to kind of explore what you can do with a conversational bot, increasing in the way they learn, and using any of the ones out there from Amazon, from Microsoft,
Mm.
from Google. Um, but we are in the works with, you've heard about Project Morpheus.
Yeah.
That is going to be to me, it's going to be incredible. It's going to be the next big leap in terms of development. Not that it's going to replace the ODC IDE, at
Yeah.
least in my opinion,
Mm.
but you're still going to need that control at certain places, but
Yeah.
it elevates the speed of where you can build. That base speed just elevated through the ability of creating that foundation that you can then customize and build. And that is something we've tried to do before. We have not been very successful at that part. I'm just going to leave it at there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think the way we're doing it for Morpheus and with the lessons that we've learned before, it's really going to make a big difference. Even in terms of bringing business people to be able to create their own baselines and then have
Mm.
developers take over and build the things that need to be built, that is going to be awesome. So very excited about what is coming up in the future and all the great stuff that the product is going to be releasing in a much faster pace
Yeah.
moving forward.
Yeah, look forward to it. Definitely look forward to it. And we're in 2024, and I saw your nice video last week, of all of you with Neo on the couch, and
With Neos, yeah.
it'd be good for you to kind of talk us through kind of what initiatives you have in place for 2024 that you're pushing forward that the community and people who are looking to get involved can look forward to.
No, absolutely. I mean, as I said in the beginning, we have been hard at work in Q1 to understand the things that we can do, and so there's multiple categories that we've created where we want to focus. Mostly, what we want to do, besides of course welcoming and kind of bringing more people into the community, is take care of the people in the community so that they continue to evolve at a pace
Yeah.
that allows them to be the next seniors, that allows them to be the next experts, the next MVPs, the next champions. And so we decided to capitalize on the thing that we have that is the best. And I tell you, I've seen other communities, and I've been doing developer relations for 3 years, and I feel that OutSystems community is definitely up there. If it's not the best, it's definitely up there in terms of
Yeah.
the communities in there. So what we decided was, why don't we capitalize on our community to help our community? Well, there's already forums and people can already
Yeah.
help themselves, but let's create programs that really allow people to help other people. So we've launched 2 new programs. One of them is still in the pilot. We call it the referral program. But the objective here is for you as a senior of the OutSystems community, you are able to invite other people outside of the community or that are just starting their journey. And by doing that and referring them, you actually get a couple of rewards. But most importantly, the person coming in gets someone that is kind of half responsible for making sure they follow their journey, they don't
Yeah,
get lost,
sure.
they're accompanied. And we are also going to give the person that comes in all those nice things. And I know we don't know, as I said, still in pilot, still
Yeah.
trying to understand what attracts people. But of course, we want to give associate certifications, we want to
Yeah.
give swag, we want to give all those things that really make you welcome, make you feel like you're part of the community that people really value. So look forward to that. We, as I said, right now only MVPs and champions are able to refer people because we're still
Yeah.
fine-tuning the mold, but the objective is still this year to open it to everybody above a certain level in the community so that they can help bring more people in
Sure.
and make those people welcome to our community. So that's the referral program. The other thing we're doing is the mentorship program. And the mentorship program is something really cool that we've piloted since November, and we're now
Yeah,
opening
I've seen a
for
lot of posts
everybody.
on LinkedIn. A lot of posts on LinkedIn.
Yes,
Yeah.
we partnered with a company called ADP List,
Yeah.
which they have this really cool website in terms of mentorship. So
Mm.
we broke one of our favorite laws at OutSystems, which is we have a hammer, everything is nails. We have a
Yeah.
development platform. Let's develop a mentorship
Yeah.
program. And they said, no. These guys have done it for a long time. They're much better.
Yeah.
They're really, really cool. And so I talked to Felix, their CEO, and I said, hey, why don't we do something together? I think it would be really cool for us to work together. And now we already have a significant amount of mentors available. We have people from every step of the journey
Yeah.
wanting to be mentored, not just in low code, but in other skills that they
Yeah.
need, right? I mean, uh, if you get out of university and you start coding with OutSystems, you still need to learn how to test, how to do project
Yeah.
management, how to
Yeah.
do all those other things
Mm.
that are skills that are important. And ADP List has a bunch of mentors,
Mm.
not just from OutSystems, but
Yeah.
from other places that can help you with some of those harder skills, softer skills, right?
Yeah.
So it's really really cool. We are very excited about it. It just went live literally last week, and this is going to be the way that the community is going to help themselves with our sponsorship, but basically having the people in the community helping other people in the community. And I think it's going to be really powerful. The other big bucket that we have are events, right? So this year we went back to the big event, big yearly event. I think
Yeah.
right now it's safe with the post-pandemic
Yeah.
scenario to do one big event. Everybody had been asking is even though they loved the ones we did last
Yeah.
year, it's like, oh, but I don't get to meet my buddies
Yeah.
from
Sure. Yeah.
APAC or my
Everyone in
buddies
one
from the
spot. Yeah.
Americas.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that we separated kind of the business event with Next Step with one
Yeah.
developer conference was also, oh, but I like to go to some of the business
Yeah. Sure.
conferences, and some of the business people are also architects. They also love to
Yeah. Yeah.
discuss.
Yeah.
So even though we're going to separate it, we're going to make them separate. There's going to be technical tracks. There's going to be business
Mm.
tracks. We're making it one, right? So
Hence the
right
name.
now
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
name
Yeah.
is
It's
one.
perfectly. Yeah.
Um, our creative team actually came up with a really great thing, which is one is now an acronym for OutSystems Next Step Experience.
Really cool.
So
Yeah. That's really
we
good. Yeah.
actually have we're going to have both events in one
Yeah.
in October 15th and 16th. So it's going to be awesome. Um, I think people are gonna love it, and it's gonna be big. Um, but we didn't want to stop supporting the local communities, right? So we
Yeah.
still wanted to do that. So because now we don't have one, or at least one's going to be one,
Yeah.
we are creating the developer days. So developer days is something that we're going to do um, in every region. Right now we have America's developer days and Japan developer days already announced and with dates for the end of this month. But our plan is to do at least two more, maybe three more in other areas of the
Yeah.
world that we're going to launch for Q3 and Q4 at some point. So that's very exciting. It's going to be one day, just technical focused. We're also going to allow people to do certifications on site. So if you want to do your certification, you
Oh,
can go
wow.
to the developer
Yeah.
days and do those certifications. We still don't know if we're going to charge or not, but what I
Mm.
really wanted was not to charge anybody. So if
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
get your flight or you can go
Yeah.
there to the developer days, you're probably entitled. Not going to commit, but you're probably going to be entitled to do your certification while you're
Yeah.
there. And what we want to make sure is that people get recognized
Mm.
as seniors, right? We were looking through our developer base and we realized that there's a lot of people that have been doing OutSystems for 2, 3, 4 years, and they're not even associate developers,
I
right?
know a lot
And
of
and,
them.
and
I know a lot of them.
right,
Yeah. I
and
see them
I'm
all the
like,
time.
why, right? You should be a senior developer already. You
Yeah.
should be a specialist in web. You should be a specialist in mobile. You should be a specialist in architect. So we want to make sure that you go through those certifications. We want to
Mm.
make sure that if for some reason you're not able to pay for them, we find a way for you to show yourself out there.
Sure.
Because the big what we feel is that even though people say, "Oh, OutSystems, no career, etc." People,
Mm.
it's like everywhere else. The career doesn't fall from the sky. You need to fight for it. You
Yes.
need to make yourself visible. You need to change your LinkedIn title to senior OutSystems developer, right? Every time I see a senior OutSystems developer on LinkedIn, I connect because I
Yeah.
know that guy is
Yeah.
is looking to move his career up, or
Mm.
that lady. So these events are really going to be are really going to be cool. And then, of course, we have all our user groups and our developer schools and all the stuff that we're doing. The last big thing that we're going to be, no, not last big thing, but the last big thing I wanted to mention
Yep.
here is the Build for the Future hackathon. So last year we
Yep.
had the hackathon. It was great. We thought that we were going to have like 20 teams, and we had like 57 teams. It was
Wow.
amazing. This year
Yeah.
we want to go and double that.
Yeah.
We're continuing to partner with AWS and Microsoft, and we're going to be make it AI themed. So we
Nice.
want to make sure that we not just are we going to prepare accounts and ways for the teams to be able to access all the AI services from AWS and Microsoft that are going to provide, but we're also going to do getting up to the hackathon training sessions and videos that people can kind of learn how to use AI, how to use AI with ODC, which is going to be cool. So even people that haven't tried ODC, they will
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
able to try ODC. So I'm very excited. And I think this year we're going to be able to change the world a little bit more with all the great applications that are going to be built in the Build for the Future hackathon, which is going to be just before one, so around
Yep.
September somewhere. And then we're going to announce
In one. Yeah.
the winners in one. So that is going to be fun.
Yeah.
If
It's really good.
if people want to go and take a look at our video, maybe you can leave the
I'll put the
links.
link in
That
the
would be
video for
great,
sure. Yep. Definitely.
because we have a little bit more detail of all the stuff that we're putting
Yeah.
together.
No, it's great. It's great that you've got so many things going that people can. They can have a full calendar year of events and
Of events
things
at
to look forward
OutSystems,
to, which is
yes,
great. Which is
absolutely,
great.
absolutely.
I guess a final question for me would be, I obviously asked you about the mission about. We spoke about the mission of OutSystems. You mentioned you've been doing your role for the last 3 years. So the final question would be, what's your mission in your role as VP of Developers? What's your mission basically to get out of your position as VP of Developers?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, and this is the way I think about it, is the developers are the users of our product, right? So these are the people that spend 8 hours a day working with our product. We have our users, which are the users of the applications that
Yep.
are built with the product. That is fair, and there's millions of them. But the developers are the ones that use the product that we built to build other products for other users to be able to
Yeah.
use. And so this is kind of big, and it's really, really important. And the fact that the community is able to come together and to learn with each other and accelerate is the only way we're going to be able to grow OutSystems. It's the only way that we're going to be able to uh, get out there and change the world and make every software company, every enterprise company, a software company, right? And not just the new people coming in, but the people that are already in the community and have been in the community for years. Those people deserve to be treated well. They deserve to work together. And a lot of them have been doing a lot more effort in selling out systems that even we do, right?
Yeah.
So we owe the community so much. We owe that the success of the company is based on the community. So my mission is to make sure that everyone out there that decides they want to add OutSystems to their skill set and want to exercise that skill set out there, that those people have jobs, they have good salaries, they have better work-life balance, they're going to have better careers, and most importantly, they're going to feel valued on the things that they produce and that they generate with their coding capabilities. So effectively, we are we are making sure that those people are cared for, and that's my role as VP of developers. I know the whole company is doing other things, and
Yep.
people are talking to CIOs to sell product, which is
Yeah.
important, right? There's no jobs for developers if
Yes.
the CIOs do not decide to buy the
Exactly. Yeah.
platform.
Exactly.
Um, uh, there's other people that are building projects. There's other people that are building product. My team is the team that cares for our users, not our customers, our users, right? And that is, I guess, for me, one of the most important jobs at OutSystems.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, I appreciate you taking the time, Miguel. It was really good to talk to you. And
Thank you, Feroz. That was really great. Thank you for the. I think we went a little bit over time, but
that's
anyway, it doesn't matter.
the good
You can cut
conversations.
it
The good
later.
conversations always go over time, which is good, which is great.
Exactly.
And definitely won't be
Absolutely.
cutting anything. Now, I really appreciate you taking the time, talking through everything, your experience, that you've encountered and the things, the kind of, the things that are not so nice to talk about and also, the things that people can look
No,
forward
and it's
to.
important that we talk about those things. So
Yeah.
so thank you for asking the hard questions. And again, I'm available. My job is to care for our community. If you're in our community, I'm on LinkedIn. Just feel free to reach out because I think there's a lot of great stuff that we're going to do. There's still a lot of great stuff that we are not going to do that we can do
Yeah.
in the future.
Yeah.
But definitely, I'm very excited about what 2024 and 2025 are going to bring for OutSystems. It's going to be great.
Amazing. Thanks, Miguel.
Thank you, Pradosh.
Take care. Thank you for listening to today's episode, which is brought to you by iTrack. We are a leading staffing firm that solely specializes in supplying both contract and permanent low-code professionals to organizations globally. Navigating the niche landscape of the low-code market requires the best talent, and we recognize its critical importance for our clients. Whether you're a company looking to strengthen your team, an individual seeking the next career move, or someone entirely new to the world of low-code, we're here for you. Our extensive experience and in-depth market knowledge enables us to quickly pinpoint the ideal candidates while offering expert advice and support at every stage of your low-code journey. Reach out to us through our website or connect with me directly on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to assist you. Thank you once again for joining us today. We'll be back next week with another insightful episode. Until then, take care.